Hi, Filmatics. Welcome to the show. Thanks for tuning in. Today, we have an extra amazing guest for you, Tyler Hickman. Tyler's an Emmy winning and award winning writer, director, and editor, and he just got the Emmy for a 20-part miniseries called The Exile Hacker. Tyler, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me. I've loved being here. Thank you.
Yes. Tyler, where are we recording with you today live from?
I'm in Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
Wow, Winston-Salem. Hey, we heard some, there's a lot of reality shows over there, right? On those stories.
There are a ton of projects happening in this state for this year. There's, I think, a few different feature-length films coming in and a few different reality shows, like you mentioned, a few different TV shows. It's pretty big right now. It's all happening here, so it's a pretty exciting time to be in North Carolina.
Oh, great. Well, we're so happy to have you here. And so I want to ask you, Tyler, so when you were growing up, was there a favorite childhood film that you loved?
Oh, it's hard to pick one. I was raised on films. I would say if I had to pick one that I was raised on, it'd have to be Raiders of the Lost Ark. And I know that's probably a cliche answer. I'm sure everyone mentions Indiana Jones, but it's a film that I grew up with and informed a lot of the filmmaking decisions that I make today. And I can go back to it anytime and I learn something new. I find something fresh, and it's a very, very deep well for inspiration. So it's one of the films that I grew up with that I can say with supreme confidence has only gotten better with age. So I would say number one with a bullet, Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Do you have brothers or sisters?
I have a younger brother and a younger sister. I am the oldest, and I shared some of my film love with them as we were all growing up, and that was one of the films I tried to show them. I don't know if they liked it as much as I did, but it was one that just really, really influenced me as a filmmaker, and I'm really hoping that one day I can reach that level of filmmaking that is just incredible.
Did you ever play like Indiana Jones in your backyard, like with your brothers and sisters?
Man, we did play. We played a number of games. I don't know if any of them were film related. To come to think of it, I think most of the games I played with my brother were chasing him around with various objects to beat him with, because I was not the best big brother, and I found him annoying. But that was a long time ago. Now I love the guy; he's absolutely incredible. But yeah, for all the films that I grew up with loving, I don't think I ever actually played any of them.
You didn't direct them or anything? Okay, so yeah, because I'm like, oh, you have like a younger brother, sister. Okay, I'm Indiana Jones, and you be. Guess who did that? Yeah, I guess who did that?
No.
I did that.
You did that.
Yeah,
okay,
yes.
No, I never really got inspired to try to do any sort of spoofs or send-ups of any of those films when I was a kid, mainly because a lot of the times I just didn't want to hang around my brother growing up, even if it was for something like that. I just wanted to do my own things with my own friends at the time. Recently, he's been helping with some of my short films. He's been a great help. So having Garrett help me out with a couple of things here and there has been very beneficial. But as a kid, I was not the best big brother. I'll say that.
Did you do the old hide and seek and then you just ran off and left him there going, where are you? Did you ever do those?
A few times. Yeah, probably more than I can count. I don't know if that's going to look too good on me now, but that's the way it was growing up. That's just how we did it.
Oh, nice. So I'm going to ask you. Okay, so when do you have a favorite Criterion movie that you just love that perhaps inspired your career to go into writing, directing, and producing?
For my Criterion pick, I would have to say Seven Samurai. Akira Kurosawa classic film. It is absolutely incredible from content, everything about the script, the story, everything about it is masterclass filmmaking. I mean, you can talk about Kurosawa and Yojimbo or Ran, Throne of Blood. I mean, he's just got this incredible catalog of films. But every time I turn on Seven Samurai, I'm being transported every single time I watch that film. And kind of like Raiders, I get something out of it every time I watch it, something new, whether it's Toshiro Mifune's performance and how he, brings 100% of himself to that role, or it's how Kurosawa decides to stage the cameras and the action. Everything about that film, I think, has impacted me in one way or another, even if it's on a subconscious level. Just seeing an absolute master in his prime execute something so perfectly, it's like watching almost like the Mona Lisa being painted in front of you. You can't believe it's this good, and it's almost frustrating how good it is. It's like I'll never be able to reach that level, but knowing that it's out there, it is that that star I'll keep chasing. It's to reach that level. I'll probably never get there, and I'm okay with that, because I don't know if I deserve it, just because of what Kurosawa had to get through to get to what he was able to do. But for Criterion pick, absolutely Seven Samurai.
Yeah, I love that too. But I love the guys too, camaraderie, and I just thought they were just cool guys, how they liked each other. And I was a girl, and so I really liked it. I mean, I just loved it. And like I said, when I watch Criterion movies, I literally cry, going, "How did they do that? I can never do that." Like how? Like when I see Fellini and like Bicycle Thief and The Miracle Milan, and you're like, oh my God, they're just so amazing. And it was back in the black and white days. Like,
absolutely,
come on.
Yeah, it's hard to kind of imagine films like that being made today, with all of the bells and whistles that they can bring to it to enhance the film after the fact in post production. But back then, when Fellini was doing his thing, or when Kurosawa was doing his thing, it was just skin of their teeth. Let's just get things done the right way, and they would build the sets. They would live in them. They would thrive in these environments they created for their films. And you don't really see that much today. Now it's all very streamlined. It's all very, by the book. It's a lot of green screens and trying to get things done, in a more digital fashion. Whereas you go to these old films, these Criterion films, and you can see the care in each and every frame that these craftsmen put into building the sets, making the costumes, finding period appropriate weaponry, and doing it for real in the mud, in the rain. You don't get that kind of visceral experience with a lot of films these days. So going back to the Criterion films, especially the black and white ones, it is a way to be transported to a different time and place that I haven't been able to find anywhere else outside of maybe reading books. It is just that transcendent to watch these old Criterion films, especially on Blu-ray, the higher definition quality. You can really see every little detail, every thread in the clothing, and every edge on every sword. It's unlike anything else. And we are so lucky to have access to these films in the way they were meant to be seen, outside of a theater, of course, on film, to be able to watch them, especially during, COVID lockdown, to be able to, pop in a Blu-ray and just instantly you are in another world, experiencing something completely foreign to you, and not just in language, but in the way it's presented, the storytelling, and it's not something you see every day. And because of that, it inspires you, or it does me anyway, to kind of reach further in my writing, in my research. I want to, hit those highs, and in doing so, elevate myself as a filmmaker. So it's one way to go back to those and say, how can I improve? And that's the benchmark. That's the gold standard. And those films, there's a reason that they hold such a special place for a lot of people. It's because of the care that went into them. Yeah. I absolutely love that film.
And then so I'm going to ask you, you're a director, but do you have a favorite director or two that you'd like to share? And can you give me a favorite film shot from a movie?
Ooh, okay. So I've got two very different. I've got two very, very different choices here for director and shot. My favorite director might have to be David Lean. Lawrence of Arabia, Bridge on the River Kwai, Dr. Zhivago, Passage to India. There are so many films of his, and they are epics in every sense of the word, that really delve deep into character and scope and place and what it means to be who we are. And I can watch any of his films, and it's like I'm right back in, first year film school, where I don't know a thing, and I am being shown this incredible world and all the different aspects of it from one of the best of all time. and watching what he was able to do with film and with his performances. I mean, Peter O'Toole, that was his first film, was Lawrence of Arabia.
Oh my God.
How do you do that? I mean, that's impossible. It's not replicated. That was lightning in a bottle, and I think everyone knew it. And that's one of my favorite films of all time, is Lawrence of Arabia. But I'm going to go a very, very different direction here for my favorite shot of all time. There's a film, 1992, John Woo's Hard Boiled, with Chow Yun-fat and Tony Leung. And it's this Hong Kong, it's called a heroic bloodshed film. There are, I think, 100,000 blanks fired in this action movie. It's absolutely insane. There's a 2-minute, 43-second shot, no cuts, of one of the most incredibly technical, difficult filmmaking processes I've ever witnessed, where two characters get off of an elevator, they mow down hundreds of bad guys, and this is all in camera. There's no CGs. This is all blanks, Zerk hits, squibs going off. Zerk hits, by the way, zirconium hits. So when a bullet's supposed to hit metal, someone off screen fires essentially a paintball filled with metal shavings at it, and it explodes, sparks. It's a zirconium hit. All of that's happening while debris is flying. The cameraman's not even using a Steadicam. He's using just his handheld operator, and he's following these two guys through a hospital for over 2.5 minutes. Hundreds and hundreds of bullets flying everywhere. The camera operator's got to just hold it steady and not flinch and not freak out because glass is flying, things are exploding. And then the two actors get onto an elevator. The elevator doors close behind them, and they're having a conversation. They're reloading, and one of them thinks they shot a cop by accident. Oh, it's terrible. It's a horrible, horrible situation. He has to be convinced, no, it wasn't a cop. You're freaking out. Don't worry about it. Doors open back up. They're on a different floor and shoot more bad guys. They never changed floors. That was an inoperable elevator. What happened was, when the elevator doors closed, the crew members behind the scenes had 20 seconds to completely clear the floor and redress it as an entirely different floor, and then have an entirely new gunfight, no cuts. The technical level of craftsmanship is something I have never seen before or since. Just that involved hundreds and hundreds of effects and squibs and stunts, and everyone's got to be completely coordinated. They set this up in a day and a half, and they shot it once.
Wow.
And yeah, I've never heard of something like that before or since, and it throttles me to this day, just what they were able to achieve just from a sheer technical standpoint. It blows me away. It really does.
Oh wow! And can you repeat it for our younger listeners? Probably don't. Well, they might know it, but so the name of the film again was
Hard Boiled.
Hard Boiled, and the director is
John Woo.
John Woo. So John Woo's Hard Boiled. So there's like almost 2-3 minutes of this intense camera work. I can't believe they had 20 seconds to make it a second floor. I mean, that's pure determination from a filmmaker, or the writer, director, producers that just are geniuses, that they will find ways to create these shots that are like, well, that shot is a standout, and I'm going to go watch that tonight. I that's a good one I forgot all about, but that, so I want to ask you, so I don't know if our audience is familiar, but you made your first film at a feature film, right? Full length at the age of 21. So
21 years old.
Yeah.
That's right.
And can you share the name of that film?
That was called Blood Island.
Blood Island. So I want our audience, like, at 21, Tyler Hicks did a full feature film called Blood Island. So that's going to be, can you tell us how you started? Did you go to film school? Were you in North Carolina?
Yeah. That was kind of a long journey to get to that point. I started my film work officially at Forsyth Tech Community College here in Winston-Salem. And, I was, coming right out of high school, right into, community college to study film. I did that for a few semesters. I worked with some folks over at Piedmont Community College doing more on-set work than we were doing here. I got to do some work with them, and I met a couple of people who introduced me to a casting director at the time, who got me involved with trying to get on a feature-length horror film as an actor. So I drove to Charlotte with my buddy Nate Lofton, who I work with on film today, and Nate and I both auditioned for this horror movie in Charlotte. We met the director, super nice guy. His name's Aaron. Still talk to him, still love that guy. and he auditioned Nate and I. Didn't get the part, but Aaron and I hit it off immediately. Super, super nice guy. He and I had a lot of the same filmmaking philosophies, and he kept in touch with me and wanted to know what I was doing. So when I went to Wilmington, which was in 2006, 2007, I want to say, to finish my associate's degree in filmmaking at Cape Fear Community College, I was working on all these different short films in the school system and without. I was doing my own things on the side. I would send them to Aaron to say, hey, check it out. Look what I'm doing. And he showed his producing partner and was convinced, this kid's got a shot. Let's send him to Belize for a month with like essentially no budget to go shoot this horror film that we got. What do you say, Tyler? And there's, little Tyler Hickman, and I'm, 17 years old in the middle of college. Like I was doing my semester work to get a call to say, you want to go on location for a month and shoot a feature-length film? So of course I'm freaking out. I jumped at the opportunity. I was so thankful to Aaron and Jonah for giving me the chance that they bought me my passport. I didn't have a passport. They had to get one for me and then fly me out almost immediately to Belize in Central America, where I met up with, Aaron and the DP, Luciano, cast, and the crew was essentially four of us. It was me, Aaron, Marina, who was doing sound, and Luciano. And everybody else was either in front of the camera as an actor, or they were in front of the camera as a way to make it look like the scene had more people in it. They weren't really acting. They were just sort of crossing, things like that. But that was a month-long process on location with kind of no budget, doing everything by the skin of our teeth. But we were able to utilize the area in such a way that we'd film on the beach, we'd rent a boat, and we'd film on the water. We would find these islands to film at. We actually got to film on a Mayan temple. Wow. A real Mayan temple for one of the biggest parts of the film. Absolutely incredible. Like we went through all the proper, guidelines and procedures. And when we got there, the guys at the gate, waved us on through, but they didn't shut it down for us. We had to work around other tourists that were there at the time. So that was interesting to say the least. But all of it just kind of lent this very, gung-ho attitude. Everyone that was involved was just ready, willing, and able to do whatever they had to do to get it done and get the shots right. And I mean, that was just an absolutely incredible experience. We were doing it essentially by seats of our pants. We didn't have elaborate storyboards. We didn't have, a 2-ton grip truck waiting right outside a frame. We had a DVX camera. This wasn't even high def. This was just like, oh, well, we have this. My DP knows what he's doing. Let's come up with shots on the fly at this Mayan temple and get them as we can in sequence. And sure enough, it's one of the best scenes of the entire film. That film, it got shelved due to some legal issues. It was going to be released through Lionsgate. This was, back in like 2008 or 9. It was slated to be released through Lionsgate. They had a huge corporate reshuffling, and they dropped a lot of films that were sort of in my range, lower budget horror films. And they dropped so many of them that I was, one of the casualties of that. And the film to this day sits on a shelf due to some legal issues. So I don't think anyone's ever going to see Blood Island. But I will say, it's not my best work. I was 21. I wasn't even finished with film school. It was very much, just get the film done by hook or by crook. Just finish this thing, and we did. And I spent, I want to say, a year editing that just to make it to where it was somewhat palatable. Because at the time when I shot it, I'm like, oh, this is great. And you look at the footage when you're going in post, and I cut it all myself, and I'm like, I should have done so many different things differently. So many things could have been improved upon had I just taken a little bit of extra time or thought it through just a little bit more. But when you're there on location, 21, your first feature-length film, and I kind of had no supervision. There was no corporate suit, breathing down my neck. It was me and Aaron.
Two people.
Aaron, the
DP and
it was,
you. That's it.
Yeah. that was it. It was like me and him were the decision makers, and he would call Jonah for a couple of things here or there. But Jonah was in LA. We were just a bunch of unsupervised kids with a camera and a budget, and budget being just getting us there and getting us the camera. and everything else was just like, figure it out. And we did, and we finished the thing, and it's a full feature-length film. But yeah, I don't think anyone is going to be seeing Blood Island anytime soon. That was an experience, though.
Well, it's probably going to probably do really well. Even if it got a Rotten Tomato, it's still doing well. And so it has legal issues because of like people that own it, or because I do know the studio they're talking to, they do like action films, and people love low budget horror, especially with all the streaming channels now. There will be a home for it somewhere if there's no legal issues.
Yeah.
It could be a cult classic. What's it? The temple, the Mayan temple. Oh my gosh, I bet you we'll have like audience members, give us 5 stars and say, we demand this to be seen on a streaming service. Let us know in your comments when you hit the 5 stars. Like, we want Taylor Hickman's. We want to see it. Maybe that's enough likes and 5 stars for your horror film. Maybe someone will pick it up. So that leads us. You went to community college. Then you went to college. Then you got like this basically free directing school. Free directing school. Here, make a film. 2 guys and a camera, which pretty much as independent filmmakers, that's what you got. You got you and a cameraman, and you pray for the best. And on my short films, we had no permits, and we had like someone gave me $1,000 worth of guns and props, and that was when you could sneak on it. We were in the Lake Hollywood, and I kept telling the guys, don't hold the machine guns out. People can see them. They got the drones over there, and there's people hiking. I guess people in Lake Hollywood are just used to people shooting films, because we had guys with like prop machine guns in their hands, and I would like put the sheet or the towel over it, and so I just prayed to be invisible. I prayed to be invisible. And we had aliens. We had alien crash landings. I think sometimes the audience goes with you and like, oh, look, there's a girl filmmaker. And, we were at Beechwood Canyon. I don't know if you know Beechwood Canyon, the little grocery store there. We had a dolly. We put a dolly down, and we had, that was I was like, I'm using a dolly. And we had a kid. We had the kid that like, he was great off camera. When you said action, he froze every time. So it's entertainment when you are doing it independent. So you did this film, and then so what happened next?
Oh geez. So it was kind of a snowball effect. I had to get permission from the college to essentially take 6 weeks off of school, and convince them that this was essentially me learning their curriculum by being on location, unsupervised, making a feature. Somehow they agreed to it, and they gave me C's just to pass. So like, fine, you can pass, you can get your associate's degree, and you're going to finish out your degree by making a film in Belize. Like, great, that's awesome, that's fantastic. And so there I was. I missed my own graduation from it was just community college, get my associates, so it wasn't like a big ceremony. But I remember at the time I was a little bit bummed. I'm like, man, how did I go from, making a bunch of just goofy short films with a handy cam with my buddies in Wilmington to shooting on location in Belize, and then back? I went straight back to North Carolina, and it was like nothing changed. And that's because the film didn't get a release. And it was always kind of a bummer, because I was like, what, it's always like the what could have happened. It's like, if that film had been released and someone did like it, and they did want to talk to me, and they trusted me with a budget again, that could have been a whole different, trajectory for me. But I'm actually kind of glad it worked out this way, because what I was able to do was look at that film and say, I'm not ready for this. And it was such a strong wake-up call for me to understand and realize that at 21, with no real feature under my belt until this, I kind of realized, like, okay, I need to take a step back. I need to learn a lot more before I even try anything like this ever again. And I kind of committed myself from then on to, redouble my efforts and study film. And being at Cape Fear, I was able to sort of understand some hands-on stuff. But when I was done and I graduated, I'm like, okay, I think what I need to do is just put my nose to the grindstone and try to figure out LA for myself. Try to figure out the film world on my own, do it myself. Because up until then, I haven't visited LA. So I'm like, okay, I'll go out there, I'll check everything out, and I'll see what everything is going on in LA. But I I didn't want to jump in feet first right off the bat. I wanted to try it out a couple times. I'll visit here and there. I'll go meet with Jonah. I'll talk to my filmmaking buddies, talk to the actors that I know out there that have moved out there. And it was very slow going at first for me in LA, just trying to find my feet and, you know, kind of understand what was going on out there. But I got to say, like, the LA chapter of this whole thing, that's where things kind of took off for me. I will say that.
So you went from North Carolina and you moved to Los Angeles, right?
That is correct.
Okay, and then this is where you start with your short film. Did you go from short films to feature?
Well, I've been doing short films for a few years now, both in LA and in North Carolina. I made one out there when I was living in LA called Catalyst, and that was a short film with a couple of acting friends of mine, Tyler Cole and Philip Bruin. Both those guys are incredible. I'm working with them again on an upcoming thing. But all the things that I was able to do in LA was essentially network, work on bigger productions. I'm talking TV shows, feature-length films, music videos, web series, everything and anything I could get on, I got on in some way, shape, or form. And being able to work on all of those different projects really gave me a more rounded understanding of the film world in general.
So you came to Los Angeles. So I want to know how you go. You went. Okay, so I know that in you did Slipping Away in 2007. You did Slipping Away, which won Outstanding Student Film at the Scene Film First Film Festival in Wilmington, North Carolina, and then The Big Come Down won Best Cinematography at One Take Film Festival. So now you're like you upped your game. You're winning Best Cinematography and Outstanding Student Film. Then in 2014, you won Videographer of the Year Award at Forsyth County Entertainment Awards. And then in 2015, Aftermath was accepted to the International Online Web Fest, where you also received a nomination for Best Actor. Aha, I love it. And you also was accepted to Southway International Film Festival, Film Spark Film Festival, Blackbird Film Festival, and the IndieWise Film Festival. So that's Aftermath. And then 2016, Uncharted, Drake's Odyssey was accepted to Fanboy Film Festival. Can you talk a little bit about Drake's Odyssey? It was a fanboy film?
Okay, so I'm a big fan of the Uncharted video games. They're very much like Indiana Jones. They're just modern day, you know, for the PlayStation. They have, I think, 5 games out for it now. And I was a huge fan of the games. And what I wanted to do was make film versions of that with what I could, with, you know, the people that I had and I trusted here in North Carolina. We have beautiful locations here, mountains and rivers and waterfalls, things like that. And we made 2 different Uncharted films. We made Uncharted Drake's Legacy and then Uncharted Drake's Odyssey. And Odyssey was the second, and that's the one that got in Fanboy Film Festival. And both of these films, we were able to utilize local talent, a couple of guys that I met in film school, an armor named Charlie Coleman, who brought us essentially an arsenal's worth of weaponry for the short film. It was a modern day adventure film. And we had so much fun doing the first one. We came back to the second one, and that got into the Fanboy Film Festival. And that was a few years ago now, thinking about it.
Well,
man, time flies.
Well, Tyler, we're going to go into 2 parts because I want the audience to, you're such a great director, writer, editor, actor. I want everyone to see how you went from North Carolina to your amazing Emmy for your spectacular TV series. So we're going to end part 1 with Tyler Hickman, and we'll come back. So thank you for listening, audience. Film addicts, please come back to listen to part 2 with Tyler, and we'll be right back.